Hello, it is I, Ramses the 800th, and I am. So, I made some comments in a video saying that I don't like Neon Genesis Evangelion. I don't really remember it too well, but I did want to give it another chance. So, because I haven't seen it for a while. So, I watched Ava. I watched Evangelion, sorry. I watched Evangelion about less than 24 hours ago. I finished watching it. People who like Evangelion, tell me why. Because oof. Oh my god. I'm not even going to talk about the ending because I haven't watched End of Evangelion right now. As of right now, I've only watched the main series, the first series, Neon Genesis Evangelion, all 26 episodes. Man, I wish it had more because I come from Kamen Rider background, which is kind of funny. I come from Kamen Rider Super Sentai background, where most monsters of the week are actually monsters of 2 weeks. You know, you get a new threat, you fight it the first time you fail, or like you fight it and then it gets another form, right? That's like the whole thing. Ava, I feel like if it had that, where like the angels would come in and then they would they a lot of them even had perfect setups for it, but I feel like they just okay. Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like Ava. I didn't like the first series. Maybe End of Evangelion is gonna help me because I'm gonna watch it right after this. I'm not gonna go on for too long. It's gonna be pretty quick. Um, but yeah, I really didn't like it. The fights were fine. They weren't spectacular. Like there is no real standout fight. The characters are all eh. Shinji isn't as annoying as people say he is because every time he didn't want to get in the robot was completely justifiable. The first time he got into it, he didn't want to be in the robot first off, and then he realized being in the robot causes him actual pain, and then he crashes out. The robot crashes out while he's inside. I wouldn't want to be in that giant death trap either. The second spoilers for Ava, by the way, but you know this is a show came out in 1995. The second time I believe there might be one in between, but I can't really remember it. The second time decided to get out of the robot and stay out of it was when oh my god, the the fourth children pilot was chosen. It's such a dumb naming convention. The fourth children was chosen, and he had to fight Ava Unit 3, and it became the angel, and then he fought it, and he was like, "There's a person in there. I don't want to hurt them," and then he died. No, incorrect. And then go Godai. I don't know. His dad, Shinji's dad, was like, "Kill it, kill the angel, or we'll make you kill it." Technically, so he does the dummy system. I don't know. He does a dummy system. He forces Ava 1 to rip apart Ava 3, and it takes the weird pod thing, I forgot what they're called, and destroys it while the person's inside. Shinji was like, "Oh my god, I killed someone," and then he looks inside when they cut out the guy who was his best friend, and for completely justifiable, completely justifiable crash out. The moment he got back, he's like, "Why don't I just?" He's like, "Well, it was gonna kill you," and he says, "Well, I'd rather die than kill somebody." Understandable. But then when he gets taken back, he's like, "Oh, you took away my power from the system. You basically made me watch me hurt my friend. I have what was it, like 3 minutes? I have 3 minutes left, and I can kill literally all of you right now. What stops me from doing that, huh? Right?" He's specifically talking to his dad, and his dad's like, "Do it." And then he tries. He goes to do it, but then he gets like a weird. I don't know what it was, but it knocked him out. And then he was fired from the Ava unit, and then he doesn't go back into it, I believe, until the angel appears that destroys most of two and basically puts Ava Zero out of commission. Um, then that's the only because he literally has to get in the mech, and then the mech gets put, and then the mech. Okay, he gets back into the mech. He gets back into Ava Unit 1. He fights that one angel, which causes him to. I think that's the second time he crashes out. The no, that's the third time. The third time the Ava unit crashes out, we find out what Avas are. They're like giant people, or like they're technically angels. He eats the Ava wakes up, and then he starts crashing out, eating the angel and stuff. Shinji's inside of it, and then he becomes part of it. 400% compatibility, some shit like that. Um, and then after he gets out of that, after 30 days, I don't want to talk about it. 30 days, he gets taken out, put him back in. He gets taken out, and Unit One shelved, so he can't fight. He physically can't fight. Um, and then he doesn't go back into the mech until I think the last angel, right? No. He doesn't go back into the mech until Ray dies because the weird tentacle thing. Um, he gets back in the mech then, and then the whole Asuka Kairu. I think his name's Karu. I think I might be thinking of Kingdom Hearts. The Angel Boy, happens, and then that's episode 24, and then shit happens after that. Yeah, Shinji. Like I said, Shinji gets a little bit too much hate. He's a kid. He's like what 15. I wouldn't want to be in a giant death machine either. You know, that's completely justifiable. Um, Rin isn't a character. She she doesn't do like anything uh except get hurt in the beginning, and then just kind of she gets called a mother. Like she's like Shinji. He sees her like wring out like a rag at like school, and he goes, "Oh, that's pretty interesting." And then he goes up to her and he's like, "Oh, well, you know, I was looking at you because the way you wrung out the water is kind of like a mother." And Shinji, that's I don't know why that was a compliment or something. He says, "Oh, you'd probably be a good housewife." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then she blushes to that. Don't know why. Um, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he's Shinji's dad's son. That's such a weird way of saying it. I can't remember it. Godai. Is it Godai? Godai. Whatever. He's Shinji's dad's son. He's his son. You know. Um. So I get, and she sees him like a dad, kind of. I think. Um. Yeah. That's basically. And then she dies, and then she gets another version of herself. Um. Misato is fine. I get like she just does things, man. She doesn't. Oh my god. She has a boyfriend, technically, an ex-boyfriend, boyfriend, lover. I don't know. Reiji, something with an R, who was Asuka's, I guess, caretaker or like watcher. I guess he was in charge of her. Um, and Asuka likes him. He's like, "You're a kid." Asuka's like, "Well, you know, I don't know." Um, I don't like Reiji or whatever the hell his name is because he's really like he's way too touchy for my liking. Like, I don't remember what episode, but there's like a scene where he basically just jumps Misaka. I say jumps. He basically just like kisses her in the elevator. He's like physically constricting her movements, which is really weird. And then he goes like, "Oh, um." You might say you don't like it, but your lips tell me otherwise. And I'm like, that's such a weird thing to. Why are you saying that, dude? That's not okay. And then the most uncomfortable I've ever been in my life was when those two were doing it. And what? Yeah, it was that, and here they're like transferring information or something. I don't know. Misato and Reiji, I think his name is. They're they're weird. Pen's funny. I like Pen. Pen's nice. Um, I'm trying to think. Like the angel designs are interesting. Most of them are objects like spheres or boxes. Uh, but it's really hard for me to enjoy Ava with specific scenes because I know Ava mostly through memes and I remember it mostly through the memes. You have Uno elevator, Shinji holding a cup. Um, what else? What are the other ones? Whatever. Those are like the two scenes that I was like, oh, like when Asuka was going into the elevator to try to have a conversation and kind of had to have a conversation with Rin. Um, I couldn't stop laughing because I just kept hearing "You have Uno," right? I just kept hearing that. But that conversation was when Rin was like crashing out because she wasn't doing good and she was doing bad. Well, obviously she wasn't like being up to snuff. Um, like oh man, it like the way people talked about it was like, oh, it's like the best thing ever. The ending's trash though, but End of Evangelion fixes it. I don't get it. Maybe I'm like too young, I guess, because I wasn't even a concept back then. But you know, maybe I just don't see the appeal. But I don't even like the Ava designs. I'm gonna be 100% honest. The Ava designs aren't like that cool. The what is it? Fives, not five. Unit one's like opening mouth and like roaring is cool. I think one of the coolest things is like that front Ava flip thing that they do, that Unit One and Unit Three do. They like jump where they're like jumping with their back and then do like a kick flip kind of. That's cool, but that's really the only thing I can remember from like the series. Angel 5 is boring. Um the only reason I know Angel 5 is because it's from I see it in Nikkei because right now they're doing a Nikkei collab, Evangelion. This is the second one, and not Angel 5. That's the joke of that one thing. That's the only reason I know what Angel 5 is. Um, like the whole Adam thing doesn't make sense to me. Like Adam, the thing on the cross is actually Lilith, the Spear of Longinus. Like they chucked it into the space because that's a part of Godai. I think his name's Godai. Godai's plan for something. The human uh, goop thing. Get Godai's. I keep trying to call him Ghetto. Godai's plan is like the turning everyone into primordial soup so that they can all like be one and like understand each other fully. Dumbest fucking plan in the world. Um, I guess that kind of happens at the end of the series and Shinji's the only real one that's actually fully conscious, which is kind of fucked up. But you know, um, no, I'm not. I talked about the ending. Whatever. The ending was bad. Like, I'm not. No one has to pretend. I did like the little school segment. I think that was pretty fun. Um, but I don't see it. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Maybe I'm in the wrong. Maybe I'm just crazy. But if you guys understand like Ava and you like it, please tell me why because I genuinely don't understand. Like I'm really trying to think. And if you say it's like, oh, because of the deep philosophical meanings, please be quiet because that's not the reason you like Ava. I seriously doubt that anybody genuinely likes Ava for that because that doesn't make sense. Ava feels like a show trying to say too much when in general it could be said very simply. The show basically boils down to everybody doesn't want to lose anything, but they're too afraid to gain anything. Ava to me is basically like everybody wants connection, but everyone's too afraid of that connection in their own weird ways. Misato has daddy issues. Asuka has. Oh, wait a minute. She doesn't have daddy issues, but she has like I guess abandonment issues. Nah, she wants to be seen, but also doesn't want to interact with people. I don't know. Um, Shinji has daddy issues. Rin is not a character. Um, Godai is an idiot. I don't even know why he does half the stuff he does. I talked about Misato. Yeah, Misato has daddy issues. Um, every other character doesn't really matter. Um, yeah, like I was saying earlier, I feel like the show could have really benefited from more time because in series we had that time. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like the fights were bow, bow, bow right after like you couldn't not keep fighting. But they were perfect gaps to where you could have filled that in with characters to build up the relationship with these characters because I don't see how Rin at all has affection for Shinji. I have no idea why Shinji cares even a little bit about Asuka. Asuka, I guess she's kind of fine. It makes sense. Um, yeah, I think I've got my rantings out right now. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna make this into like depends on how long the rants go. I don't know how long this is gonna go. After I watch End of Evangelion, but I'm gonna watch it right now. Then I'm gonna come back, give you guys my opinion, um, afterwards, so I can put it all together. Um, but yeah, I'm not gonna do my outro because I'm probably just gonna stitch these together because I'm like what 15, 16 minutes in. So yeah, I'll see you guys when that's done. So I just finished watching End of Evangelion, and I think I can confirm, I can say with my whole chest that when people say they like Evangelion, they're talking about End of Evangelion. They're not talking about the show because End of Evangelion, it's good. Yeah, it's good. It's fine. It's somehow more confusing because it's like in the middle of it, I got very confused because it just did like an end credit scene, and I was like, "What the hell's happening?" But that's beside the point. Main point: it's an ending. It's an ending that wraps up some stuff, like Asuka kind of, and whatever the hell was happening with Godai. I can't. I don't think. Did they say his name? Ghetto? Godai? Whatever. With Shinji's dad's hand with the weird thing. So that was Adam. How anything really happened, I don't know. The weird this movie's opening is wild. And like the weird union with Lilith and Adam, I don't really get. The angels being like technically humans is cool, I guess. I don't know. Like I'm genuinely trying to think like now that I have in my head that the angels are technically human prototypes, kind of, or like I think that makes like the one angel like scanning the human brain kind of cool. It's like, oh, that's what it was. And then the one trying to merge with the person also makes sense, kind of. And then what's his face? Kauru, whatever. The angel boy being like basically a human also kind of makes sense. I think they said humanity was the last angel. I think, but I don't really know. Um, it's a movie technically. It's really not. It's more of like two episodes spliced together. Um, this movie made me like Rin. Sorry, not Rin. I don't care. Rin's still not a character. This movie made me like Asuka for her crash out against the mass-produced Avas. Justifiable crash out. You know, makes sense. Shinji commits genocide, which you know he's a what? How old is he? 15, 14? I don't know. He's a kid who has all this messed up emotional stuff with him. Of course, he's gonna try to commit genocide. I would. Um, the Shinji again. This movie for me was plagued with the memes. Like I knew all the scenes. The Shinji, I'm so messed up. Asuka pathetic, choking out Asuka again. Um, Big Ray. It, it's it's so weird. And then like the whole thing with like Ava Unit 1 technically being like a prototype is technically being God when it merges with Longinus because of weird even Lilith things. I knew the cliff off was coming when there was like I said nine angels. Why are they like that? And then they did like the circles, and I said, oh, that's the tree of cliff off. Oh, that's that thing. Um, and I only know that because of I watch Black Clover. Black Clover has it because I like that type of stuff. I think it's interesting. But when people said like, I remember hearing a lot of people say it's like, oh yeah, there's a lot of like biblical imagery, right? And I was like, oh, that's cool. When is that gonna appear? Because yeah, they do like the cross thing. Lilith is crucified and all that stuff. There's a bunch of like crosses being made, but and then they're called angels, and like I guess they become God. But I, I was just expecting more. I thought we were gonna get like, I guess you could say, the later angels are like biblically accurate, but not really, not to me. Like I was watching this and I was like, that's cool. Um, there's a lot of weird things in this movie. Shinji's whole mental breakdown, and I don't know what Sealy. I don't know what their plan was. I, no, correction. I know what their plan was. Their plan was to make everyone into soup. I don't know what Godai's plan was. I think that's his name. I don't know what his plan was. He felt up Rin while his hand went into her body. I don't like that. It was so weird. And then I understood that Adam was in his hand. I get that. And uh Ray was technically Lilith. Like she's a part of him because all of them are technically children of Lilith. So Godai, I think his name's Godai, was saying like in the unholy union we're able to do something. I don't remember what it was, but Seely's plan was to break the ego or psyche of the Ava 1 pilot, I think. Yeah, they said that. And then they did it when Shinji got up there, saw Asuka's body, well, technically Ava 2's body, but you know, semantics. Um this is the only actual cool fight in the entire series so far because I was on edge because I know what happens. I've seen the clip 1,000 times where Asuka dies, air quotes, where Asuka dies. But seeing it play out where you're like, oh, she's mopping these things up. You know, she's crushing one's head. She like rips one in half. She like crushes the core. Um, and now I kind of understand why that thing turned to the spear. Because it's like the Spear of Longinus. I don't know why it can bypass AT fields, but it can. And they made like a fake one or like an artificial one, and it pierced through. Asuka got in the eye. What I don't know is why the the pain was so much more severe. Was it because of the Spears of Longinus? Maybe because Shinji got stabbed with Spears of Longinus in his hands, but he didn't bleed. Not like Asuka. Was it because she didn't have an AT? Well, Shinji's mech wasn't plugged in at all. That motherfucker was in the stratosphere. Um, I don't know if she just went crazy, but Asuka was saying like, "Oh, my mom's in the mech. My mom. This is my mom. It's Ava too. It's my mom. Blah blah blah." Is that true? I think she just. I think her mind just snapped in that moment. She's like, "Oh, this is my mom. I know what the AT fields are. I still don't know what they are." Um, okay, I'm gonna give my a thought. I'm pretty sure AT fields are like the outline of the body, right? Like the shape of a person's, not soul. They don't really talk about souls in this movie. Like the shape of a person's, like the shape of a person basically. And angels are able to like project that shape in order to protect themselves, I think. And then almost only when Asuka was able to, like, I guess, understand herself and her Ava, that she was able to protect herself from it. Like she was able to produce a AT field, even though I'm pretty sure she could do it before. I don't know, man. And then Asuka gets got. I can only imagine how painful that is because it's like being eaten alive, right? Her entrails are getting ripped out. Her hand, her eye got out. Um, and then she was like holding her hand up into the sky, which is a cool thing. And her hand gets split, and then she gets like absolutely torn to shreds, right? Shinji scream again, horribly meme to death. That's when I saw that I was like, oh, this is the thing. This is why he screams. Um, and then yeah, Shinji's like inner talk with Asuka is confusing. I don't know if that actually happened because he choked her out. Like he was choking her out. So Did that actually happen when they're like in the room, when they're in the, what's that place called? When they're in the house and he's like, "Oh, Asuka, I need your help. Asuka, I need your help." And she's like, "Oh, you're pathetic, blah blah blah." And then the pathetic meme happens. Um and then he's like, "Help me, please help me." And she goes, "No." And then he proceeds to choke her out. Um I thought it was pretty funny. I couldn't help. Oh, that's also a meme, the choking out Asuka one. I think that's pretty funny. Um and then Rin just like eats Godai's hand. I think his name's Godai. He eats his hand. She eats his hand in her stomach. Combines with Lilith, becomes a giant Rin. The artificial Ava, the mass-produced Avas get like Rin faces and like stab themselves to the chest with the fake Longinus spears and moan. I didn't like that. That was uncomfy. Shinji's having a mental breakdown. Shinji goes into his inner world. He wants to commit genocide. Technically, everyone becomes Kool Aid or LCL fluid. I think it's called. I don't know what the LCL stands for. Um, and then he, I think the thing I don't like about Shinji is not that he's a what is it? It's not that he's like annoying or pathetic. He's just very wishy-washy. But of course he's not even a teenager yet. He's 14, 15. I'd be like that too. It's like, well, yeah, I want everyone to disappear, but I also don't, you know? And then they're saying stuff like, "Oh, people can retain their shapes if they have a strong enough will," while the Ava stuff is like drifting away and falling back to Earth. Rin splits in half. Her head falls off, and she like her throat cuts open and it, like sprays in the sky, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool visual. Um, and then the T people, what are they called? Artificial? No, the mass-produced Ava fall back down to Earth. Rin's technically still there. And everyone's in the Kool Aid. What I don't know is why Asuka's there. Because in Shinji's whole mental breakdown thing, Asuka was always kind of like the opposing figure. He said it. He said like, "Oh, you never talked to me. You never said anything to me, so I don't understand you." Which is kind of why the version of her in his heart doesn't really appear. Because for Rin and Misato, he sees both of them, and he also sees them in like a sensual way, kind of. But he doesn't do it as intimately as with with Asuka. So like he really only sees her like without clothes, but doesn't like see her like interacting with him physically, at least that often. I think it's like only 3 times. And it's in the same shot where they're like leaning forward, um, naked. I think, but yeah, Asuka's the only version of him that doesn't do it. But I don't know how she survived the thing, the third impact. Everyone else got turned to Kool Aid. I thought in my head, I was like, oh, well, she was stabbed with the spear of Longinus. Like, even if it was a fake one, maybe she also became like a type of Noah's Ark, but that's not how it worked. Ava Unit 1 is in space, drifting off somewhere, because it's as the last bastion of Earth. And then uh, the ending, it didn't aggravate me, but it just added even more. I don't know what's happening to what I watched, because they're both laying down on like the bleached Earth basically, but with the Red Sea, like in you see here, um, and he kind of just looks to the side. Like Shinji looks to the side after he, I guess, undid everything, even though he didn't. He looks at the side, sees Rin. She disappears, and then like looks at Asuka, who's just staring blankly into the sky, and then just decides to choke her out again. Like this is like double hand, full force choking out. Like this is like violence. This is anger in his eyes. And then Asuka like caresses his face, and then he starts crying, like he does, and it's like a low angle, and then Asuka kind of looks down, and I think she calls him an idiot or pathetic. I don't remember which one it was. And the movie ends. Just cut to white. I don't know. Maybe this is my idea in my brain. Maybe the reason Asuka was there was because since Shinji didn't have a understanding of Asuka, and in any real sense, he wanted to like get closer to her so that when everything got bleached, she came back. But I don't know where she got the bandages from. But because of the stuff that happened, he kind of thought she was dead or like basically dead. So he tried to put her out of her misery, I guess. But then when she moved, he was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna be alone." And then she actually starts waking up. I don't know, man. I don't like it. I didn't like it. It's not for me. Maybe I've heard that the rebuild series kind of like it doesn't fix it, but it like adds on to it kind of. Like from what I know, the rebuild series is kind of like a alternate timeline slash retelling slash continuation, if I'm right. Because spoilers for rebuild if you care. The movie came out 2021. That was oh my god, that was 4 years ago. Um, if I'm right, Shinji does something to like combine the timelines. Doesn't know how, don't know how he does that, but I'll figure it out, I guess. Um, so yeah, um, that's pretty much it from End of Evangelion. I think now I actually have a favorite character, and it's Asuka. I really like her because I don't really like her. I like her more than everybody else because that crash out was really cool. The her weird, hey, it's my mom. I'm fighting with my mom. She's always watching over me type stuff was weird, but you know, it's cool. She got into a cool fight. Sucks that she basically got her guts ripped out and lost an eye. Um yeah. When I watch the rebuild movies, I'll try to like cut in whenever I'm done with the rebuild movies, because I don't know. It depends on how I feel. Like if one is basically just the first part of Evangelion, I'm not gonna touch it. But if it's different, I will, and then you know so and so forth. So for now, that's it for me. I will tell you the day that you know when I finish. I watched Evangelion March 1st. I watched right. No, incorrect. I watched Evangelion March 2nd. I watched End of Evangelion March 3rd, and I'm gonna try to watch all of Rebuild March 4th, which is my birthday. So yeah, see you, I guess. Hello. I just finished watching You Are Not Alone. Evangelion Rebuild of Evangelion 1.11. You Are Not Alone, and it it's cool, right? So basically, it's kind of a retelling, I think, because the ocean itself is red. The ocean's red, right? And then there's like these outlines of like the angels, the mass produced angels. I think that's what they are, that are like cross armed, standing out. They're not in like the water, and there's not a giant ray in the water, but it's there. Like there's an outline. I guess it's like an homage to it, and things are different. A lot of it's kind of like shot for shot repeating, which I'm fine with because you know it's it. I think this is supposed to be like an alternate. Um, I don't really know. They skip a lot of like the smaller stuff, like a lot of Shinji's like classmates they skip, a few of the in between stuff like Shinji, like in the okay, the angel numbers are now different. Like the third angel's sorry, second no yeah the third angel in the original series is now the fourth angel, vice and then continuing on, so that the fifth angel that they fight at the end of the movie is technically the sixth. And they did some redesigns. I think the Ava units are different. I think they look slightly different, but um they I like what they did with the fifth slash sixth angel. I kind of already liked that design because it was like a giant prism, no prism, a giant prism. But now in this movie, it kind of like creates a bunch of like geometrical shapes, and then they can like it shoots the beam. It just feels a lot more streamlined. And again, the angels don't feel all that powerful. Like it's even funnier now because they kind of just get killed super fast. Sorry, they get killed pretty fast. But I guess it's kind of just the volatility, I think that's the word, of angels, how they just like they appear, big problems, and they die. You know, that's kind of how. It feel like this world is really weird because it's like it's kind of a sequel because like I think I don't know, but like the moon has the splash on it, like from when Ray in the end of Evangelion throat cut open has the line on the moon. Blood spray. Um, Kaoru or whatever the angel kid's name is, he woke up already. He's already like about to get active, which is weird. Um, Misato knows about Lilith. I don't think she knew about that before. She takes him all the way down to the central dogma. She takes Shinji when he doesn't want to get in the mech to fight the fifth/sixth angel. Takes him all the way down to whatever the central dogma is to show him Lilith, and she knows it's Lilith and it's not Adam. And Lilith looks different. She's not. She doesn't have like the Sealy face thing. Like this, I think it's seven eyes. She doesn't have those eyes. And what's it? She she looks different. She has like an actual angel mask on. But then on the moon, it's like the traditional Sealy with the normal mask, who's also crucified. So I don't know. And I think the angels are coming from the moon because on in the moon there's like a bunch of caskets, and Kaoru wakes up from it. I think that's his name. The angel boy wakes up from it and goes, "Oh, I can't wait to see you, Shinji. This is gonna be sick." Like I'm surprised the third child already woke up. I don't. It's pretty confusing, but eh, like them skipping a lot of like the side character stuff with like friends and stuff like that is a little weird. But they also add other things like the like finding what Lilith is, and Shinji's crash outs are becoming more and more justifiable now. He's not crashing out as hard, but he is crashing out. Like when he didn't want to get in the mech, he was like, "I don't know what it is. I don't, the same stuff from the original series." But it's like it makes a little bit more sense because now he's having even more pressure on him. You know, he's having more pressure on him because now he knows, hey, if I mess up, everyone's gonna die, which is something you don't really want to put on a child that's already kind of mentally unstable. But whatever. Um, it feels more weird to say streamlined, I guess. When you cut out all that other stuff, it kind of feels more like these things are just like what is it? Dots on a point. You know, it's like, oh, you get to the fifth angel, you get the sixth angel, you get the seventh. But I don't know what the third angel is in this context. After doing some searching, not for the third angel, but for like the general stuff, I was like, okay, then we know what the first angel was. What the hell's the second angel? Second angel was Lilith, and they tell us that in this movie too. The second angel is Lilith. Um, that's cool. Explain that. That would just um, yeah. I um, I don't really know what else to say, truthfully, because it's fine. It's better than the original series. I'll tell you that much. Um, but now we're already diverging from the original timeline because Kairu's waking up now, and then like the Sealy group is like already making moves. I don't really understand it, but I'll see when with Asuka's introduction in the second movie, see how that turns out. But for now, it's really not much to say. Truthfully, I thought there'd be more, but the little changes are nice. Um, so I guess I'll see you guys after I finish watching part two. Um, also, I'm recording this on my birthday. Hooray! I think I'm gonna be finishing all of Ava today. So if you're seeing this video, that means I didn't stream because I'm watching Ava. So yeah. See you later, I guess. Hello. I just finished watching End of Evangelion. Not End of Evangelion. I finished watching Evangelion 2.22. You cannot advance. And I'm gonna say it again. When people say they like Evangelion, they're probably talking about Rebuild. because this was crazy. This was crazy. We kind of, oh man, this was a really good one. Fights were great. And finally, Rey has a character. She's a character now, which is great. It's not a developed character, but she's trying to understand humanity to a point. Let me go a little further back. One of my favorite Ava units, which is Ava 3, gets kind of a different take. I think it was Angel 9, Ava Unit 3. Oh, Asuka's whole thing. I forgot that happened in this movie. We got Asuka's introduction. She's a lot more aggressive. She like trips up Shinji. We don't have that weird the angel they fought then was also different because it wasn't the weird whale thing. It was like a weird clock face. They killed that Unit 2 kills it very quickly, which shows that Asuka's really good piloting her Ava unit. And yeah, they deal with that one. What else? Asuka's a lot more aggressive. Her last name's different. I know why. I watched the video before I watched the rebuild. I know why her name's different, kind of. So I don't need an explanation on that. I watched a video on that. Before I even started watching all this, so you know. We got the new girl. I don't know her name. She wears the pink Ava suit, and then we got this, what is his name? Kaoru. I think that's his name. Kaoru has his own Ava unit now, and he came from the moon. And he, oh, okay. So when they were fighting the weird tentacle slashing Ava, I was hyped because I thought we were gonna get Berserk Ava, Berserk Unit 1 again. I thought we were gonna get it again. I'm 100% okay with that because I love when the units go berserk. It's so cool. But this time, Unit 2 gets reactivated. Oh, wait. I completely forgot. Like I was saying before, we got introduced to Asuka, and they have this trip where they go to like this aquarium, which is really cool because they're like purifying the Red Sea. They're purifying the red water so that it can be inhabitable for life forms that existed prior to the second impact, which is cool. And then when the Unit 3 thing happened, which Unit 3 is one of my favorite Ava units, it's the coolest because it's all black, it's sick. When Unit 3 happened, instead of it being Shinji's friend, it was Asuka. Because Asuka wanted Shinji to go on his little dinner date with Rei and his dad, which Rei set up because she likes Shinji, and she wants Shinji to feel good things about his father instead of just being Shinji about his dad. So Asuka takes up the role and goes, you know what? It's fine. Let me just take up the role of being let me try to test out Ava Unit 3. Then the whole thing happens. This time we actually understand what happens technically. Like the dive system, I don't know how it works. They're like she dived a little too deep because it was becoming an angel. It kind of like pulled her in, and then the plug became the new core. So in order to kill it, you had to destroy the plug thing. It all makes sense. Ava Unit 3 starts going berserk. It destroys everything. And now that Shinji knows that Asuka's in there, it adds even more reason as to why he doesn't want to attack. Because he's like, Asuka's my homegirl. She's one of my friends. We don't really talk like that, but she's my friend. And I don't want to kill her, you know? And his dad's like, kill the fucking mech, Shinji. And Shinji's like, first off, I didn't even know how he could do it. Because his arms are, like in the original series, he was getting just strangled, right? So it makes sense that you're not really trying because, you can try to pry it off your hands, right? That makes sense. But in the rebuild, Unit 3 like gets like these extra set of arms. So one set of arms is holding down Unit 1's hands, and the other set is strangling him. In my brain, I'm like, that's a lose situation. I can't do anything unless I can overpower it, but I can't. So that's just kind of dumb. That's just Shinji's dad being Shinji's dad. And being like, pilot the fucking mech, Shinji. But then the dummy system gets activated, and it's even worse because the way they represent it is like this giant kind of like fake robot that takes control of like the gear thing, like the motor system, and it blocks Shinji's view so he can't see what's happening. So he can only hear it. And then Unit 1 starts ripping apart Unit 2, Unit 3, it's tearing it to pieces, starts like ripping out stuff, all that stuff, all the jazz. But the problem is, um, like Shinji can't see, and he crushes the tube where Asuka was. Really bad. That's really bad. Um, Asuka's basically put out of commission for the rest of the movie. Justifiable. And there's this really cool scene of Shinji after that, because he was still in Unit 1, so he's on top of like the HQ base pyramid, and which is way cooler than it was in the original series. In the original series, when he's crashing out against his dad and saying like, I could just kill all of you right now, right? He's inside of the HQ and just like stationary. In this version, it implies that he kind of jumped down and walked up the pyramid that's HQ, and he starts like stomping on the top of the pyramid, which is sick. And then they do like the pressurization to knock him out, and then he's put on ice. Um, Unit 1's put on ice. They're trying to use the dummy mode, and then the Angel comes in with the AT fields and all that. It's like this is cool, unlike how it was in the original one. That's I think the main difference. These fights are sick. Specifically the fight with what's it called? The Angel at the end of the movie, and then the new girl, the girl in pink. I don't know her name. The girl in pink comes out. Oh, the opening. We found out what Ava. I'm sorry, I'm jumping all around because I'm trying to. I literally just finished watching the movie. Um, Unit. We find out what Unit 5 was, which I think was also made in America, and Unit 5 was fighting what Angel 3 was, and because America tried to seal Unit 3, tried to seal Angel 3, but it didn't work because Angel 3 was like they destroyed a lot of it, but like they can't fully destroy it without like Ava stuff. So then they use Unit 5, and the girl piloting it, they have like a pseudo plug suit. They didn't have LCL fluid as far as I know. They had like this more primitive version, which I love. It's so cool. It looks sick. It's like more like mechanical. Like she has like this 3D headset on. Like it's all on her like it looks archaic, and I really like that like aesthetic. And then Unit 5 looks cool because it's less not humid, human. It has like these like tracks, and it has like these weird pincers instead of like hands, which is cool. They destroy Angel 3, Unit 5 gets destroyed. Unit 4 also gets destroyed, but that's like the same thing that happened in the first series. We didn't even get to see it. Um, and then the Unit 3 stuff happened. Asuka gets downed. Um, what happened after that? Oh, and then they're fighting the Angel at the end of the movie, and the pink girl pilots Unit 2 because Asuka's out of commission. So she starts fighting, and she kind of like unlocks this new form for Unit 2, which is awesome, which is the Beast. And it kind of like goes like on all fours, and like its mouth split open. It's really cool, and it starts like tearing things apart. It's awesome. And then she gets done in, and then out comes Ray, who saw uh what happened to Asuka before in Unit 3. Ray comes in, and she just like beelines for the new Angel, basically shoves like a bigger nuke in front of the Angel to try to like pierce through its AT field, and then Unit 2 with the pink girl piloting, um, who got her head chopped off, like her head chopped open, and then like she's missing an arm, but she's like crawling over and is like tearing the AT field with the teeth. It's really cool. And then they try to Ray tries to shove the bomb into the Angel's chest, but the Angel clamps its chest. She throws Asuka away. Sorry, she throws Unit 2 away, and then the bomb goes off. Angel's fine, and the Angel eats Ray's unit. Eats the prototype unit, right? And then the Angel starts morphing into like a humanoid thing because it absorbed the Ava and it also absorbed Ray. And I was like, oh, this gives me like end of Evangelion vibes. And I didn't even know the half of it because it starts going all the way down. But then Shinji gets in the mech again because he talked to the pink girl, and she was like, "Oh, why are you in here by yourself? You gotta go to safety." He was like, "I gotta help my friend. I have to help Ray." And this makes sense now. It makes sense why he cares, because Ray was trying really hard for him to understand his dad because she cares about Shinji, and she also cares about Godai. Uh, Godai. She cares about Shinji's dad and Shinji, right? And it makes sense that Shinji wants to save her because all she's ever done is like be there and kind of be nice, you know, and he wants to kind of repay that by being able to save her. And then he starts fighting the other mech, and then we start getting Angel Shinji, and he starts using like Angel stuff. He does like the giant AT field beam. He starts doing like the multiple layered AT fields, and then he kind of reaches into the Angel's like I guess the core, and is trying to pull out Ray, and is inadvertently causing the third impact. And I was like, oh shit, this is bad. He's this isn't good. Like this shit's bad. Um, so that's what happens. He's pulling out Ray, and he pulls her out, and then the thing explodes, and he's like the core kind of creates like a Ray body, and it's merging into unit one, and then they start getting like third impact stuff, and then the movie like ends technically for like 2 seconds, and then we get this shyster Kaoru. He throws like a giant spear down to stop the third impact from happening again, I guess. And he's like, "This time I'll make you like really happy, Shinji." Don't know the context of that. Don't know what that means, but he's really early, really cool. Um, yeah. So I'll say it again, and I'll say it to the end of time. I have to watch the other two movies, but the one criticism I have of Rebuild right now is if you didn't watch End of Evangelion or Evangelion in general, you're not gonna really understand why things are weird or why things are happening the way they are, which sucks because you have to watch. You're gonna have to watch basically garbage in order for you to understand what's happening. You can watch Rebuild, but then things are gonna be like confusing. You need that context of the original series to kind of get what's happening. That sounds bad. Like if you only watch the Rebuild series, you don't know why Shinji cares about his friends, right? You're like, okay, they're just friends. But if you watch the series, you kind of understand. You can kind of get what's happening, that the stuff they're skipping over, right? You go, oh, okay, so that's why Shinji is really close to them, kind of, and all that. But at this point, I don't know what's gonna happen next, and I don't know how much of it matters. But right now, we're completely diverging from the timeline. So yeah, uh, really like it. I should probably be rating these. I'll rate them. I'll rate them right now. Original Evangelion series 0 out of 10. Garbage. End of Evangelion 4. Um, you are not alone. Evangelion movie 4. This movie like a 7. Like this is. I was telling my brother this while I was venting to him about Evangelion and how it doesn't make sense. Um, After watching original Evangelion, only that, my opinion of Evangelion was at negative 100. End of Evangelion, when I finished the original series of Evangelion, it was at like a negative 100, right? I mean, like a scale. It was at negative 100. End of Evangelion boosted that to about, I would say 80, right? To a negative 80. And then the previous movie kind of boosted that to like a negative 50. This one equals it out. I am now at 0. I am now at 0. So either we're gonna go up or we're gonna go down. Let's find out. See you guys in the next movie, I guess. Hello, I'm back after watching episode after watching Evangelion 3.33. You cannot redo. That's a departure. Um, I liked it. I liked it. Um, we got thrown 15 years into the future after the pseudo third impact. It's basically it's third impact. I think I don't know exactly what happened because I don't know how Misato survived it, but um, Misato and a few other people left Nerve and created a new foundation called Willy. Don't know how they did that because it's been 14 years, so time. But the world's all messed up. Most people are probably dead. Um, we're having like a bleached Earth scenario, but also bleached with red, kind of. Um, Shinji wakes up. They find Shinji's After 14 years, they find him in Unit 1. He wakes up, and then we meet Toji's sister, his younger sister. And the way Shinji finds out that it's actually been 14 years is by the introduction. And she's like, "Oh, I'm Toji's little sister," and she goes, and Shinji goes, "That doesn't make sense. You're obviously older than him." And she goes, "No, I'm the little sister." And that's when he's like, "Oh shoot, 14 years kind of already passed." And he's asking, "Oh, everyone's like hating on him real bad." Um, and he's like, "What's happening? What's going on? Blah blah blah." He's not having a good time, and no one explains anything to him. They kind of just don't fuck with him anymore, which isn't good because they kind of just throw him into the. That's basically just throwing him in the arms of Nerve, which is the thing they don't want. But who am I to run a business? Misato is a very angry lady at this point. She does not care about Shinji. She's like the fact that no one explained to him that, oh, the thing powering the ship that we're on is Unit 1 and we don't need you. We don't need you to pilot anymore. You could have said that. Granted, he basically the reason the world's all messed up, so that's probably a reason. But you could have explained it to him better so that he didn't just immediately run into the arms of Nerve, which is basically what happened. Asuka doesn't look like she changed at all, and he's very surprised because it's been 14 years. How are you not any different? And she's like, "Oh, it's the Ava curse." Doesn't explain what that means. And he's like, "Where's Rin?" And everyone's like, "No." Everyone's like, "Oh, I don't know." And he's like, "Well, obviously she has to be there. I saved her." No one explains anything to him. Granted, they probably don't know. Um, but it was a and then he hears Rin's voice and he's like, "Oh, Rin, I hear her." And everyone's like, "All right." And then a Unit 9, which kind of looks like Unit the prototype but different, and it's Unit 9, comes in because like, "Hey, come on, Shinji." And Misato doesn't have the balls to detonate his neck collar, which would have fixed everything, but whatever. He goes to New Nerve, or I guess what's left of Nerve. Uh, has a bromance with Koru, whatever his name is, the Angel Boy. He has a whole bromance with him. This is the if you like Yaoi, what is it? Is Yaoi? If you like Yaoi, this is your favorite movie because this is like very like intense, like romantic. Like he Shinji really likes Koru, however, really likes the Angel Boy. That's the best way I can say. He's the Angel Boy. Um, Shinji really likes him. Like he's probably been there for like a few days because it's a long time. The world's all fucked up. He got a shirt. He's like, "Oh, the shirt's a little too big," and realizes it has his friend's name on it, the one who's probably dead. Um, Willie. It's such a funny name. Willie has his giant skyship, which is basically a giant Ava that is using the god form of Unit 1 as a core so that it can fly. Cool, sick, awesome. The fights in this one are pretty cool. Even though there's not too many fights, a lot of it's more just like talking, which is perfectly fine because they're explaining a lot. Um, but the fights that we do get, like in the beginning and near the end, are cool. Um, we see units, I want to say 7 and 6, and then the one with the two arms is unit 13. So again, I said the reason I started watching Ava was because of Nikkei, and they did the big Nikkei collab, and now I know what Phantom is. Phantom is technically like a version of Unit 13, just with different things. It's more Rapture esque. Phantom. I want to. I'm not gonna talk about Nikkei right now. So it's fine. It's like I said, it's a lot of talking, and it's a lot of talking and very little explaining. Shinji in this movie gets the explanation of like what Rin was and what this new Rin is. There's a fake Rin. The Rin that he saved is in his Ava, is in Unit 1, just like his mother was. So they're technically both in there. So the only way to get Rin back is to have Ray. I call it Rin. To have Ray back is to get back into Unit 1, which is technically impossible. Blah 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 blah. Uh, this the Rin that we have right now in Nikkei, it's Rin. Tentative name. Such a funny thing. Tentative name Rin is different. She's not. Again, she's back to kind of not being a character, but that's kind of fun because she's supposed to be soulless, right? It's supposed to be she doesn't have a soul, so she kind of doesn't understand a lot of stuff, and she's slowly realizing it's like, oh wait, there's more than one me. That's kind of weird, you know. It's like that's clicking in her brain. Um, Apart from that, Karu, like it's really what's the word, homoerotic, I guess, like because they're piling the Ava together, and it's like, oh, you need two souls, right, to activate uh, Unit 13. I don't know why Shinji keeps going back to his dad, because I'm like, Shinji, put it together. There's like five people in there. Two of them don't really count as people. Also, they calling normal people Lins, I think, Lilins, I think. It's so weird. I don't know why. They said it in the main series too, but I don't know what that word means. I don't know what Lilin. I don't know. Asuka even calls them Lilins. I don't know what that means. It's very strange. Um, Animation's beautiful. Everything's beautiful. I do like 13. I just wish it wasn't purple because the multiple arm things is really cool. Akaru was like, it's weird that they're trying to collect two spears, Longinus and Gallius, but when they get to the wherever they were going, I don't know, I don't remember what it's called. They're like, Karu's like, wait, those spears are the same spear. That's weird. And Shinji, no one explains anything to, is saying, well, Karu, you literally gave me a motivational speech about being able to fix the world if I get those two spears. So let's get the two spears. Asuka, we get a cool Asuka versus Shinji Karu fight because they're in the Avos, which is really cool. Ava on Ava fighting is really sick. Um, Again, no one bothers to explain anything to Shinji, which if you tell the kid the important stuff, you can get his reaction. And if you try to help him understand things, you probably have a better outcome instead of an almost fourth impact. Um, it's I don't know. And from what I know, from my memory, this movie came out in 2012. I think this movie came out in 2012, and people had to wait until 2021, almost 10 years for the 3.1, 3.0 plus 1.0. People had to wait had to wait 9 years for that. I can't imagine because this ends on like a pretty decent cliffhanger. Shinji, like the fourth impact's technically prevented. Um, Sealy did something. Unit Nine's gone. Uh, the two other units are pretty messed up. Um, 13, I think, is fine. 13 became Adam because the 13th angel also became the first angel, which was Adam, which I think is also the first angel. I don't know. But Karu dies because his head blows up because he put on the weird explosive collar that he had. And yeah, really weird. Like in that part, I was very confused at that part, but yeah, you know. But overall, it's pretty nice. Like this part of Ava is where I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. Shinji had like a kind of like a nervous breakdown near the middle when he realized like Rin wasn't Rin. And he was like, oh, that's not good. I didn't even manage to save her. She's just trapped in a mech. That sucks, you know? But sucks to suck, kid. Uh Try to ask better questions. He doesn't ask good questions. He's like, but why? And no one answers him. Granted, if people answered his questions, maybe he wouldn't be such like a flippy floppy person. Um yeah, it was fine. It was okay. Like, okay, so if the previous movie was like a 7, this one is like a 6. I really like the second movie. Second movie was really good. This one's like a 6. Maybe the last one's gonna be good. I don't know. But as of right now, that's my score. Before we got equaled out to 0, eh, we're at like 10, positive 10 right now. There's nothing bad that made me angry. Um, but let's see how the series ends because I think this is the last one. Um, so yeah, I'll see you guys when I'm done with that one. Hello. After a quick birthday celebration, I finished. It's loud. I finished. A rebuild of Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 thrice upon a time. It was a movie. It was a movie. It was like 2 hours long, two almost three. It was 2.5 hours long. You could feel the length, but not in a bad way. You know, if this was a normal uh thing, it would probably be two more movies. But it's good that they didn't split it up because one movie would have all been pure slice of life ish with some mech fight in the beginning, and then the other half would have been pure mech fight or pure fighting. They did have to explain a lot, like Asuka. They had to explain why Asuka was different than her original version. Um, they they gave Rey a character, at least this version of her before she popped. Um, we got to meet Shinji's old friends. Um, now that they're older, I don't remember their names too well because I'm really bad with names. But Asuka seems to have a weird relationship with the nerd friend, which is good because he's a character. Um, and they it's like having a best friend. She's completely okay being naked in front of him. It's a thing. Um, they have a small little community. Rey learns to be human again before she pops. Um, and Misato had a child apparently before the third impact happened. Shinji is in like emo phase for a long time, which at that point just Shinji just end it, please end it all, because then it's probably not for the best because killing yourself is never the answer. But Shinji, he's he gets there. I'm surprised he hasn't done it yet, but I guess it's like them saying like, oh, he's selfish. I guess I don't know. Um, Asuka basically shoves food down his mouth, which is pretty funny. Um, what's it called? I think this movie also made it so that I really like Asuka. Like Asuka is my favorite character in Ava right now. Um, Ma- May Mai is fine. She's she doesn't really get explained. It's kind of like a bunch of like hints and then they like reference stuff that for some reason Ava pilots don't age or something. I don't know why. Asuka doesn't change because of like an Ava curse. Don't know what that means. We got a little bit of an explanation on Kaoru or Koru, however you pronounce his name, and how he kind of remembers every time he's around. He always remembers it because he can do it. Like he can, and they show this really cool image of like him waking up in a coffin, but that was shown in the first movie. But that was hinting at like the Kaoru's waking up in order to make Shinji happy, and that was kind of selfish because blah. And that Kaoru is technically Adam. I think that's what they were trying to tell me, which is cool. And we get more of Godai, Gendo. That's his name. We get more of Gendo's plan and what he was trying to do, which I still don't understand. But if I'm right, he wanted to recreate the world so that he can be with his wife again. And like he didn't know how to make a connection. Like if I understood what was happening, I would say we got a better grasp on who Gendo is as a character, which we kind of did. He's just Shinji. He's just an older Shinji that instead of anything, he kind of just didn't make connections with anybody and until he met his wife. And then when his wife passed away, he didn't know what to do with himself. He didn't know how to connect to his child. He didn't know how to connect with anybody. Um, yeah. Did I say we met Misato's kid? Yeah, we met Misato's kid. The 15-year jump is like it's crazy. 14. It's probably I don't know. The 14-year jump is like crazy because that's a lot of time. But everyone's so nice to Shinji, and in the beginning of the half of the movie, he's like, "Why is everyone so nice to me? I don't get it. I don't understand." And everyone's like, "We just like you. You're a good kid," which he wasn't, but he's like, he's a good kid. We want to be around him, right? That's why we won't leave you alone. We want to be around you because you're nice. Um, Asuka, sorry, Rey, tentative name, um, gets popped. She dies, and then the fights in this movie are are some of the best fights. The final fight with Gendo and Oh my god, and Gendo and Shinji is really good. The fight with Asuka and Mei fighting all the like the mass-produced Evas, and that's really cool too. It's a lot of cool stuff. Um, I kind of understand Asuka a little more. I understand the one like I said before. I don't understand Mai. I don't get her. I don't. From what I can tell, she also suffers from the Ava curse because the professor called her a name that I think Mary. He's like, oh, I haven't heard that name in a long time. Um, I don't really get it, but and then when Shinji was fighting, uh, um, what am I thinking about? When Shinji was fighting his dad, that's his first time actually having a conversation with his father, trying to figure out what his whole deal was, and he understood. He understands his dad now, and now that he's in like they have to Gendo like kind of goes into like the opposite universe, like an anti-universe, and in order for their brains to cope with what's happening in the anti-universe, they kind of just take things from their memory so that they can be there instead of in the anti-universe. I think that's also where the origin of life is all. There's like this giant cross. That's like where all life starts, I think. And Gendo becomes Ava Unit 13, and then they have the cool fight again, really cool. Like it starts getting a little too much at a certain point where it's like everything looks like 3D, like super 3D, like very like pretty bad 3D in the early fight, but then everything gets drawn and then everything looks really cool. And then Shinji understands his dad, and then Misato turns the Wadru, the ship they're on, and does something to make a giant spear, the spear that they need in order to like fix everything. Don't know what it was. Oh, and then they start doing the what's it called? The additional impact, which is like what Tendo was trying to do. It's something with reality and fiction and making them together and then creating like a weird fictional reality or something. Um, trippy visuals. They're like there's the giant ray head. So yeah, the whole fight was really cool. And then Misato uses because she can't enter that alternate reality because it's all anti and nothing can enter it. That's how it works. But she can kind of get May. She can kind of get Mai to push the spear through and then take Shinji out. That's like their whole plan because that's how we save Shinji. So, oh, before that, when before 13 wakes up, they need to try to destroy it because that's kind of their whole thing. They have to destroy Unit 13 before it wakes up. Asuka reveals what's in her eye, and it was the angel that possessed Unit 3, which is cool. That was so cool because she like becomes Unit 3, like the thing that was possessing Unit 3, the thing that took it over. Asuka still had it sealed in her eye. So when she was trying to do the final fight with when she was trying to destroy Unit 13 before it woke up, she basically tried to become an angel or like fully leave behind her humanity in order to destroy what's it called? Destroy Unit 13. Unfortunately, Unit oh no. When she was gonna hit Unit 13, Unit 2 was afraid, so it put up a bound field to protect itself from 13, which Asuka had to bypass by turning into the Angel, um, Angel 9, I think, Angel 9, in order to rip through her bound field to try to kill 13. Unfortunately, 13 woke up and Asuka died, which is upsetting. Um, I think she died. Yeah, she died. She had to have died. Um, and then after all that, 13 wakes up to fight with Shinji. Shinji does his giant spear thing with the double spear, and like he tries to stab himself, but his mom kind of like pushes him away to save him. And his wish is kind of to make everything together. So so from what I've read before, because before I watched this, I watched some videos about End of Ava, about like rebuild, and basically what happens in this instance is Shinji combines all universes into one, I guess, normal universe. So that's why we got a bunch of shots of characters in places that they shouldn't have been. That's why we see Asuka back on the beach, the red beach, laying down in her original outfit, and I think slightly older because her outfit's ripped in a way that it shouldn't be. And she was like, "Oh," Shinji's like, "Oh, hi, Asuka. I just wanted to say I'm really happy that you said you liked me." And then she blushes, and then that's the end of Asuka, unfortunately. It was cute. It was nice. We see Rei. Oh, we figured out that Rei was technically always inside of Unit 1. Well, we found out that before, but she was like actually piloting it because she didn't want Shinji to have to pilot the mech anymore, which is cool. It's thematic and it's nice. Um, and then we see Koru. We figured out his whole thing, which is nice. We don't see Mai. We don't know what her deal was. And we see a little bit more Shinji and how he's grown up. He's he the point when we know he grew up was when Misato died because she blew up, and he took that information and said, "Okay, this is fine. Thank you, Misato. Thank you for your sacrifice, and I understand why you did this, right?" And he's like, "I know what we have to do. I know the wish I have to make." And his wish is to get rid of all Avas, which is like just delete all of them, like as if Avas never existed. They couldn't have existed, right? So he gets his wish. The world kind of almost gets reset in a way. He's like, I'm like, he's basically said, I'm gonna go all the way back. I'm gonna make sure that nothing happens. And then they hard drop Neon Genesis. They hard drop that title, Neon Genesis. It was said by the Rei that Shinji saved and was in the Ava Unit 1 the entire time. She hit with a she hit us with the title Neon Genesis. So that's kind of what they're doing. It's like a Neon Genesis of the Avas. I don't really know what that means. And we see every Ava unit that exists getting stabbed with the spear. I think it's kind of like an existence erasure thing to like wipe them out. And the only two people, and then like a new universe is created afterwards because weirdness. And in the new universe, the only people who remember anything are um, Shinji and Mai, because Mai was in an Ava that saved Shinji. So once she saved Shinji, she popped out of the Ava unit, and then the Ava unit deleted, right? So they're the only two that remember it, I think. And then this is a completely normal world. But in this completely normal world, we have Asuka, we have Rei, and we have Koru, and they're all older, and they don't know Shinji as far as I know. They're kind of like across the way from like the train station, and then Shinji's older; he's finally an adult, and then an older Mai comes up. They're flirting. They're probably dating or married. And then they run off to like live a normal life. I guess we get like this panning shot, and it's like the big end. We get a happy ending, kind of. Um, it's fine. It's nice. Is it a fitting ending? Kind of, because from what I know, it's like a big. Everything that happened is real and was valid, and then that's all kind of erased in order for this universe to be like streamlined. You know, which is nice. It takes the complexity of I see complexity in the sense of like this technically being a sequel and also like a prequel, and well, it's not really a prequel; it's like a sequel and like alternate universe. It takes that knowledge and is pretty fun. It's a nice ride. I think the same thing I said before. People who like Ava are probably talking about Rebuild, and if they're not talking about Rebuild, they're talking about End of Evangelion. Because you can't convince me that you like Ava because of the original series. I do not believe you. There is no way I believe you. It's just not true. Um, in like the movie rating thing, this is like a. I said what would I say? But the last one was like a five or like a four. This is like a seven. I like this one. It's decent. Um, so out of all of this, what is my final verdict about the Ava series? Is it trash? Is it good? Is it mid? Is it fine? My final verdict on Evangelion, since I've watched all of it, I watched all like the animated stuff, except for like I think a lot like Rebirth Death, something like that. I don't know what that was. I didn't watch it. I don't. It's not on the watch order. Um, I watched all of it, and my final verdict is Ava is okay. It's not incredible. It's not spectacular. It's not amazing. It's okay, but it's bad if you watch. if you have to watch the original series. It's so, for me, it's very like give or take. Like I'm gonna say it again. Early on, the fights were not spectacular. They were mid fights. They were really bad fights. They were like okay fights. A lot of the stuff is cool. Like the rebuild series is, to me, what people talk about when they say they like Ava. You know, the animation there is good. Oh, that's fine. Characters are okay. The Asuka reveal that she was technically like a part of a cloning program. Okay. Again, I watched a video explaining what happened with Asuka. Cool. Um, Again, it feels very late, very last minute. It's like in the last 20 minutes of the movie, but whatever. So yeah, like I said, if the last movie, if like I said, I'm doing this a lot. Sorry. Watching the original series bumped me down to all the way a negative 100 for Ava in general. End of Evangelion bumped it up to like an 80, right? The two rebuild movies got it to like a 0. Um, 3.0 brought it to like a 10 or like a 30. This one, I think we're at like a cool 50. My enjoyment of Ava is at 50. But that's not good because I had to go all the way down to negative 100. So if you like Ava, again, defend it. Tell me what you think is cool. One thing that I find really cool is Ava Unit 4. There is no such thing as Ava Unit 4 because every time it exists, it's always destroyed. If anything, I want to get like an Ava Unit 4 mini or like something. Because 4 and 3 are like, I know three's design is basically like they use three's design for 4, but 4 I think is cool because it's white in most like versions. So I'll probably get either something for Ava Unit 3 or 4, and that's it. Maybe an Asuka figure. I can get one of those. Yeah, put it somewhere. She's a good character. I like her. So yeah, Ava's okay. That's my final verdict. I know I'm rambling, but that's how I'm doing with this entire video. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for everything. Generic YouTuber stuff. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I don't know when I'm gonna post this, but this is still the end of my birthday. So happy birthday to me. Again, thank you. Even if you watch for a second, even for a minute, even if you put hate comments, even if you tell me I'm a dumbass because I don't like Ava, I appreciate all of you. And yeah, I'd like to bid you all a farewell.